premiered this past Monday, the new Celebrity Apprentice on NBC, and there's a whole bunch of new contestants, including the lady to my right. Pleased to have back here on the Rich Eisen Show, Laila Ali. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
Why'd you do this one? Why'd you do this?
Because I just felt like it was a good time for me personally. You always got to think of yourself when you're a public person and your brand, and some things that I'm working on, like my cookbook's coming out fall 2017.
Okay.
I just have a new podcast that just aired, Laila Ali Lifestyle, on iTunes and Podcast One.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's really good. And then the Celebrity Apprentice moving to LA. You know, I'd been asked to do it multiple times in the past, and I said no. And just with the new Celebrity Apprentice and Arnold Schwarzenegger and just the different people that were going to be advising him, like Warren Buffett and Tyra Banks and Jessica Alba, all these different people, I said, you know what, I think I'll go ahead and do it.
And Arnold's sitting there in the boardroom,
Yes.
and you're there too.
Yes.
Did you know Arnold beforehand?
I was on the Governor's Council of Physical Fitness and did a lot of work with kids in school. And the fact that I was also a past president of the Women's Sports Foundation, which is the organization that I am actually competing for, it just made sense to do. I just felt like it was going to be a good vibe. And, you know, they said we got a whole new face for the show.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like it was going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I see a lot on Twitter today about the ratings of the first show.
Talking about Mr. Trump's tweet.
I'm talking about Mr. What'd you think of that?
He's such an interesting, annoying individual. I mean, he is running, I mean, not even running anymore, right? But I mean, like, yeah,
He's
my
about
nightmare.
to.
Yeah, it was a nightmare, but he's actually going to be our president. And he's tweeting about a show that if the ratings have anything to do with him, is they're not doing as well because people don't want to watch the show because of him. I've got my fans, you know, on my Instagram page and on my Facebook page saying, Laila, why would you do the show? I'm like, back in February, first of all, he wasn't even, you know, a nominee. And it wasn't even a conversation. It was like, no, Donald Trump has nothing to do with the show. And he still is not involved in the show, but he's an executive producer. There's nothing any of us can do about that. It's just amazing to me that, you know, you would think he'd want the show to do well, you know, but it's really, because he's a narcissist, it's all about him. And it's like, oh, it's not doing well because I'm not on the show anymore. It's like, no.
So this is not Arnold and him getting together with the producers saying, okay, I'll tweet this, you tweet back at this, and now you and I are talking about it?
No, that wouldn't make any sense. He's annoying the heck out of everybody, you know, and his timing is impeccable when it comes to screwing up stuff. S-H-I-T, screwing up S-H-I-T. I'll say it again.
Laila Ali here on the Rich
But I will
Eisen
say
Show.
this, though,
Yes.
that, you know, we had the Bowl, we had another show that was airing, so I thought that I was surprised it did as well as it did with all of that going on and the fact that so many people were saying they didn't want to watch it. But what we try to focus on is that, you know, Celebrity Apprentice has raised $15 million for charity over the years, so at the end of the day, it is a positive show. I mean, like I said, I turned it down 3 or 4 times when Trump was the boss, and that it wasn't because of everything he is now or we see him to be. It was, I just didn't think me and him would mesh well on the show, and I didn't want to be in a situation where, you know, I have to get in a ring with Donald Trump.
So who else did you know before getting on this show? Eric Dickerson? Because I know, again, you're as Los Angeles sports as there is out here, and he's Mr. LA sports.
Yeah, well, I know. You know, it's like we weren't friends, but I knew him. We live in the same city, so I knew of him.
Okay.
But I would say I wasn't friends with anybody. You know, it's hard to do a show with friends, a show like this. You would have done really well on a show, by the way, if you ever did it, because I see you over here multitasking.
Oh, that's
you know,
all I do is multitask.
And you got your computer, you got a lot going on. You're very engaged in what I'm saying, so really good job.
I'm locked in right now, Laila. I'm locked in.
Thank you.
I'm locked in right now. But so you think I should do?
I'm not saying you should do. It's not for everybody. No, I just think that you would. If you ever decided, you know, yeah, you would do a good job.
You've done Chopped also. You mentioned that.
I've done Chopped a couple times. I've won a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Law was genuinely concerned in the commercial break that when you prepare a meal for Chopped, sometimes it could get cold in
There's
between
so
shoots.
many things that you don't know that go on behind the scenes anytime you're shooting any show. And yes, that is a concern on the show. You prepare a meal and they have to clean the kitchen. They've got all this stuff. Judges deliberate and your food sits for up to over an hour, but they do keep it warm. But then you have to think about that when you're preparing a meal and when you're choosing something. You have to think about the fact that, because you know that going in, the judges may not eat it. So you can't talk about the texture or something melted or it's like too bad. It's the nature of the show.
So you're a veteran of this sort of stuff. So this has already been shot, correct? The
Celebrity Apprentice
Yeah, you
has
already
been
did
shot back in February. Yeah, 2016. Sounds like so long ago.
Wow. So now here you are.
I had
almost
short
a year
hair.
later.
Didn't you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Well, I don't look. Hair,
I know. Okay. Well,
hair. You know, hair.
Right.
And,
Well,
hair
for
and I
those
are,
that do and that are watching, okay, it was black and it was short. Yeah, it was a whole different time.
Right. So, do we read anything into the fact that you're here promoting? That
Like, what do you mean? Like,
that you advance further on? Can we read into any of this stuff?
It has nothing to do with me being here. It's just that I advance at whatever I do. So it's kind of just an Ali tradition.
I was about to say, is it wrong to say that you look just like your dad when you gave me that look? Like
I mean,
I've seen that
you
look
know,
before.
It's just it's kind of common knowledge by now. You know, like
Right.
Layla's gonna do well. Like I'm gonna do really, really well.
Who is the most competitive person you've ever come across?
Competitive?
Yes, that you've ever come across in your life, whether competing against them or just being around the sports community.
It's
as long
really
as you
hard I just don't have an answer coming to the top of my head for you. I meet a lot of competitive people. The thing is that, the things that I'm really passionate about, I really want to win badly. And then sometimes my ultimate goal as a competitor is not always to win. It might, just like when I did Dancing with the Stars, my goal was to make it to the last show. It wasn't necessarily to win. When I did season 5, I think, they still had all 3 contestants on the last show. So for me, why am I doing this show? I want the airtime, you know what I mean? So of course, and I want to just know that I did really, really well. So I want to make it to the last show. I know at the end of the day, it's up to, the judges and the audience. So I'm not going to put my heart into it. Now in the boxing ring, I want to knock you out. I want to win. And I feel like it's all on me and I can do it. So it just depends on the situation. So
What'd you think of Ronda Rousey's loss recently?
It's always sad to see someone who was way up here get knocked all the way down to the bottom. And, it's really sad to see how the fans sometimes can turn on you because it's like now they're making memes and making fun of her. And, but because they bought into this, she was so great and she was the best, and then it's a big letdown to see, especially when you find out somebody can't take a punch in this sport because you've got to be able to do that. And now I think that now that her chin has kind of been exposed, everyone's going to be going for it. So, it's sad. It's kind of sad to see. But I remember when they wanted to see us fight. You were trying to promote a fight between us, but now they want to see me train her. It's like, train Ronda Rousey. I'm like, but I thought you thought she could beat me. What happened?
So would you do that?
I don't train fighters. I never have. Especially somebody, you can't train somebody's chin to take a punch. But for the right amount of money, yeah, we could probably make it happen. Businesswoman.
Either
People would be interested to see, like, can Layla bring her back? I don't know. We'd see.
Well, the question is would she listen to anybody other than the people that she's currently listening to? That's been part of the conversation of Ronda Rousey for the last year.
Yeah, I don't know.
The advice that she is getting, whether it's strategy in the ring or what she's doing in her out of the ring preparations to get in the octagon. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
with her.
I think we wouldn't be able to answer that question. I wouldn't be able to answer that question, who she's going to listen to. I think that sometimes I have seen people, when they just do so bad, they'll fire everybody and blame the camp. I think some bad decisions have been made on the part of the camp. I mean, that I wouldn't have put her in there with that particular girl who was so strong with her hands, knowing that she had just, she can't really take a punch. But I don't think it had to do with ring rust, because I don't care how many, I could get in the ring right now and I wouldn't get beat like that. Even if you lose the fight in the end, I want to see you be able to take some punches, be in the fight, and then maybe at a certain point you get tired or you wear down because you have the ring rust. So I think that you definitely would have wanted to get her in there with a couple people that 100% she can build up her confidence and work on some things, because now it's just kind of like, But I don't know. I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know.
Laila Ali here on the Rich Eisen Show. Take a break. Back in 60 seconds. I'd love to talk about your dad a little bit.
Let's do that.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll be back in 60 ticks of the clock with Laila Ali. More here on the Rich Eisen Show and the new Celebrity Apprentice on NBC. Laila Ali here on the Rich Eisen Show. What was that memorial like?
I think you're trying to make me cry on your show.
No, I'm not trying to do that.
I'm just messing with you.
I was crying. I know I was for days, quite frankly.
Yeah. It's hard.
We had a full week on this show, one guest after another from your dad's life, whoever's come across him, talk about it. What was that day like for you?
It was amazing, and it was surreal. I mean, there was so much going on. I saw people coming in from different countries, didn't even have a seat in the arena, just to stand outside of it. And it just was like, wow, how many people have been touched by my father. I mean, there's so much there's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said. But even
Sure.
for me, that was just like a wow factor. And my children, for the first time, really came to understand like how famous their grandfather actually was.
No
'Cause
kidding.
yeah, because I remember the moment, like I shouldn't say I remember the moment, but I remember that he's famous, but then when you really find out, like, wow, all of these people came here for him. But I mean, there was just so much going on, but, we have had to grieve, after all of that kind of settled down as a family. But, we feel like the whole world was grieving with us. So, and my dad will be missed, of course.
Do you remember that time for you when you first realized, oh my gosh, my dad is world renowned and famous?
When I was old enough to start watching documentaries, when he could talk and just seeing what he fought for and what he stood up for, and just understanding what he put on the line, and the sacrifices that he made, that's when I really started to respect him more. And sadly, today is Howard Bingham's funeral. I'm going to later today, and Howard passed away, and so it's just that they passed in the same year. They were like best friends. He took all the famous photos of my father, and I'll be going to his funeral today. So it's just a sad time.
Yeah, we were commenting about that on the show as well. It happened during, I guess, the Christmas week, right around then that he passed away, age 77.
So we know they're back together again, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And then obviously, did you see, at the ESPYs this year, Chris Paul and LeBron and the rest, and Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony got out and gave a speech about society and how your dad inspired. What do you think of the fact that now a younger generation or new generation of athletes are now in your dad's passing, invoking his name in this manner? What do you think about that?
I mean, honestly, I would expect it. Like I said, there's just nothing you can say about my father that hasn't already been said. And I'm glad. I mean, I want people to keep his memory alive and to keep, all that and use him as inspiration. I don't think there'll ever be another Muhammad Ali. We don't expect as much of our athletes nowadays, but I mean, I just think that it's good to have it in your consciousness to give back in some way or another. I know LeBron James does a tremendous amount of work in the community, and is a positive person. So that's great. And I would love just to see them continue to give back in that way.
Laila Ali here on the Rich Eisen Show. What would your dad think of watching you on The Celebrity Apprentice? What do you think?
I think he would be proud. I mean, he always was proud of me, because I know how to keep my game face on and keep it classy. But at the same time, I'm going to be a boss when I have to be. So I think that he would definitely be proud of me.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I'm not trying to make you cry. I'm really not. I mean, but what your dad meant to millions, billions with a B. You can't really say that about anybody anymore.
No.
I mean, you could say that about your dad. You could say it about Mandela. You could say that about Mandela. You could say that about a pope.
Right.
That's basically who you could say that about in this day and age.
And it's amazing because he just was a person who tried to help everybody. Did what he knew was right and stood up for what he believed in, and I think that at the end of the day, that's what really made the difference. Yeah, he was a great fighter, but it's who he was outside of the ring is why people love him so much.
Right, and it's so difficult to do that, though. It's easy to say, about who you are and what you believe in and standing up for it all the time. But you find it's very difficult to do that in daily life, or certainly athletes to do that in this day and age.
I see a lot. I see people do it. I try to surround myself with people who do it on a smaller level, of course, but just in your day-to-day life, just taking it day by day and just having integrity and doing what's right. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of Muhammad Ali's. There's not supposed to be. He was chosen to be who he was and to do what he did for the world. But, I think that, taking it day by day, it's just that we're living in a time where people just say what they want to say, do what they want to do, rip each other apart, it's just amazing. So Donald Trump is about to be our president. It says a lot about where we are as a country. It's really, I'm embarrassed, I'm sad, I'm fearful. So it's like I can't even put too much attention on him tweeting about Celebrity Apprentice because it's just like, that's all small compared to what's coming, and I'm hoping that, we all keep moving in the right direction.
Well, I mean, someone who your dad knew for many, many years, Jim Brown, who was, I believe, at the memorial as well. I mean, Jim met with Trump. There are some people who hear you say that and think the opposite about Donald and think that he will actually unify. I mean, you don't
Well, guess what?
think that, yeah.
We're about to find out. That's all I can say. We can talk about it just like we always do. I know it's a talk show, and I'm gonna be talking
we're
on my podcast. Sure. But but really, we're about to see, and I hope so. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am.
Have you spoken to Jim about this?
I have not, but I'll probably see him today.
He'll be at Howard Bingham's because I know
I'm sure he will.
Because I mean he met with Trump. He's going to do do an event involving a bunch of sports folks during the inauguration week, and he said that maybe we can all get together. That's what he basically said.
Well, I hope they do.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you, Laila.
Thank you
for coming on this show.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Check out the new Celebrity Apprentice, 8th season of it. Arnold Schwarzenegger hosts it. You are on it. John Lovitz is on next week on the show to talk about it too.
Love John.
Yeah, you and John got along?
Yep.
Fantastic. Good to see you. And then your podcast, what's it called again?
Laila Ali Lifestyle. You can subscribe on iTunes.
Okay.
And also on Podcast One. You can listen to it.
Okay, fantastic. Laila Ali, at The Real Laila Ali on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.